Ladies and gentlemen, Mitch McConnell is shutting down any talk of witnesses to begin the trial. So Democrats wanted to immediately go to John Bolton and Mulvaney and other people to try to prolong this into this public relations stunt. They spent weeks and weeks in the House of Representatives getting the opinions and the conjecture and the gossip and the hearsay of diplomats who were disgruntled, who don't have any direct evidence, who couldn't even name a crime that Trump is said to have committed or alleged to have committed. Well, actually, they never even accused Trump of a crime. They couldn't even state with certainty that misconduct occurred. They did not know that they did not have any evidence or information to state with certainty that Trump withheld military assistance to go after Joe Biden a year and a half before the election. Okay? The phone conversation with Zelensky was in 2019. The election is the end of 2020. They're assuming that because Biden was ahead in the polls, that Trump was going after him, because wouldn't they go after Biden? Wouldn't they view Biden, the No Malarkey bus tour, as being number one in the polls? So they go into Trump's, well, first of all, they create a caricature of Trump, that he worked with Russia to hack the DNC to inform the country that Bernie was cheated, thus forcing Debbie Wasserman Schultz to resign and giving Clinton, making Clinton lose swing states while giving her the popular vote. That's the convoluted nonsense that people believe. The Mueller report dispelled any myths. Trump never worked with Russia, and there was never any evidence that Trump worked with Russia. The evidence was a Steele dossier that was complete and utter gossip, just like the testimony of disgruntled diplomats, who, by the way, make the case that there were conflicts of interest that need to be investigated. Marie Yovanovitch, the impeachment witness, one of the former ambassador to Ukraine, Marie Yovanovitch, who serves at the pleasure of the president, by the way. They make this big deal that Trump wanted to let her go. Well, so what? Ambassadors are chosen, and they serve at the pleasure of the current president, not prior presidents. But anyway, she stated that President Obama's administration gave talking points to her regarding Hunter Biden's conflicts of interest. But today, the Senate impeachment trial has begun. You hear all these complaints that there aren't going to be any witnesses. Well, the witnesses in the House didn't have any direct evidence that Trump withheld military assistance because he was afraid of the No Malarkey bus tour. Okay? B, there's no crime that is said to have been committed. So, the case is flimsy. They want an immediate acquittal, or an acquittal as soon as possible. So you have Ken Starr, Alan Dershowitz, Jay Sekulow. You have all of these people who, and it's a great legal team for President Trump. And it's interestingly enough, with Ken Starr and Alan Dershowitz, these are two very high-profile attorneys who were always on MSNBC and CNN over the years, especially when it came to the Mueller probe. Because they wanted the special counsel's view, former special counsel, independent counsel, Ken Starr. They wanted his viewpoint on Mueller. Okay? Now they don't like his viewpoint. So that's the way Democrats are. Democrats, if the campaign email showed that they wanted to prop up Donald Trump, and they wanted to prop up candidates like Ted Cruz, or definitely Trump, because they didn't think that he was electable. So it was Trump, Cruz, and then somebody else they wanted to prop up. Anyway, they actually actively propped up President Trump. While simultaneously cheating Bernie Sanders, nothing worked out for them. Then they got Comey, Strzok, McCabe, Clapper, Brennan, all of these people, many of whom were under criminal investigation, to utilize a dossier that said that Trump enjoys bodily fluids raining down upon him at a hotel room in Moscow. This is all nonsense. This is, if anything, it's Bill Clinton's fantasies that they put in a dossier. So that didn't work out. They lost the election. That didn't work out. The Mueller probe led to nothing. They blew all their credibility on the Mueller probe. Then the impeachment is complete and utter nonsense because you have an intelligence operative who blew the whistle on everything, who met with Adam Schiff's staff, and who worked for Biden at one point. So he should be on the witness stand. Then you have Joe and Hunter. They should be on the witness stand if just based on what Marie Yovanovitch stated, that there were talking points that President Obama's administration gave her. Okay? But here, I mean, Senate proceedings begin with debate over rules. CBS News. They're debating the rules, but there's no debate. There's no debate because any vote to change the rules will run into over 50 Republicans. Susan Collins, Mitt Romney, and even Markowski can not vote along, and you'd still get enough votes. Democrats need 4 Republican votes to get witnesses. And the issue with witnesses is that if they get witnesses, so do Republicans. So they're going to negotiate about that. See, the Democrats are stuck between a rock and a hard place. They really are. They desperately want witnesses because possibly, maybe, somebody has direct evidence. Notice, by the way, they don't do this type of thing with Clinton. With Clinton, everyone's given immunity. Nobody is forced to testify. Brian Pagliano, the guy who set up Clinton's server, is never forced to testify, even though he was subpoenaed. Comey says, well, no reasonable prosecutor would indict, but here's all the things Clinton did that would easily be viewed as breaking the law if anyone else did them. Top secret and special access program intelligence on servers. Then you have illegally transferred on servers. Then you have the Clinton Foundation probe, which is really John Huber and Sessions. Guess what? They never interviewed anyone at the Clinton Foundation. How are you going to investigate the Clinton Foundation without interviewing under oath anyone who works there, especially people who wrote about 500 conflicts of interest in the campaign emails that Bill Clinton enriches himself with 3 Clinton Global Initiative sponsors paying him directly? So, I mean, it's like they don't investigate. The government doesn't investigate Bill or Hillary. They don't. Okay? When they did, they found that he had an affair in the Oval Office, but then he lied under oath and he obstructed justice, 2 crimes. They impeached him for those crimes. With Trump, there are no crimes he's committed. See, this is the thing. Clinton has committed crimes. Hillary has. And Bill did with lying under oath and obstruction of justice. They actually committed crimes. There's no doubt they committed crimes. He was impeached over criminal acts. Now, you could say, well, it's just an investigation that was meant to take him down. Well, that's what they've done against Trump, but there were no criminal acts and there were no predicate. There was no behavior that took place. Trump never worked with Russia. There was never even a hint of that. Then they changed the semantics. Say, well, he invited interference. It's like, how do you invite interference? Clinton was on Maddow's show, a year ago, saying, China, if you have Trump's tax returns. So what? Did she invite interference from the government of China? And by the way, Clinton's going to be nominee. If you are really watching this, you see that I'm not going to pat myself on the back. I don't want to do that. But there's like a genius to what I've been. I don't want to, believe me, I'm not a genius. Okay. I'm just saying there's a genius to what I've been saying. And it's slowly transpiring. I had no clue this was going to take place in the way it is. All I said was, Clinton's going to be nominee. No, don't know how, don't know when. She will run eventually and eventually become nominee. I'm the only person on planet Earth saying this, okay, since 2017. Bannon wasn't saying this since 2017. I am literally the only person saying this since 2017. And I wrote about this in the Huffington Post. Clinton 2020 is a reality. Get ready for 8 years of Trump. Every once in a while I get comments saying, you sure like to pat yourself on the back, AJ. You sure like to pat yourself on the back. Well, yeah. That's why one of the reasons you're watching this is because I know what I'm talking about. I told you the Mueller probe was nonsense. I told you Clinton would lose the election she lost in 2016. I was the only person, one of the only people on the left to say that. Okay, on the left. because I was the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post, and the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post. By the way, I'll be doing a segment on H.A. Goodman's other channel right now. My God almighty. So one of Bernie Sanders' true supporters, great, human being, very intelligent individual, very accomplished. She wrote an article in The Guardian talking about how Biden was corrupt and how Bernie Sanders is first of all, Bernie's getting cheated left and right. He'll never win because the Democrats are like nefarious, insidious. They just would rather lose than. First of all, I'm voting Trump 2020. Trump would defeat Bernie Sanders. This is not the time for a populist message from the left. 2016 was. 2016, Bernie would have won. Thank God Trump won. But they lost with Clinton, and that's what they wanted. They'll lose with Clinton again, and that's what they're comfortable with until they get, until they realize that they'll continue to lose and they don't like losing, then they'll change. But they're not going to change. It's a political machine. It's run on graft. So I guess if the money, if the profit motive is there, then they'll change. Forget about losing or winning. But Bernie Sanders, even if he were nominated, you have record low unemployment. You have 6 million jobs created, 5 million people lifted out of poverty. The poverty rate has gone from 12.7% to 11.3%, and that's not even counting 2019 numbers. Household median income is up. Wages are rising. 300,000 plus manufacturing jobs created. 300,000 lost under President Obama in 8 years. You have President Obama's job creation, 8.9 million jobs in 8 years. Trump is over 6 million jobs in 3 years. You do the math. He's on pace to easily shatter President Obama's job creation. So Bernie would definitely lose because the economy's too good. But to get a long story short, so this is one of the reasons they'll never win. So Bernie Sanders apologized to Biden. Why? Because one of his strongest supporters wrote a great article saying that Biden's corrupt, which he is corrupt. Everybody knows he's corrupt. And then Bernie Sanders like, oh, yeah, he's not corrupt. I apologize. I don't think he's corrupt at all. That's nonsense. It's nonsense. Bernie Sanders can't even endorse people. He endorses, then he unendorses. He can't stand up to Debbie Wasserman Schultz. My God almighty. The longer this goes, the more I'm thinking, like, is he actually part of this charade? Is Bernie Sanders part of the charade? Or does he really think he's going to defeat Democrats within a Democratic Party-run system? Because they don't view him to be a Democrat, and they view him to be an outsider. And President Obama stated he would intervene if Bernie got too close. And also, Bernie Sanders pumped the same intelligence community myth that said that he and Trump were part of a Russian plot to harm poor Hillary. Because they wanted 80% of U.S. uranium capacity. And President Obama did not veto the sale. Why? Even Snopes was like, Clinton couldn't veto the sale. Well, then why didn't President Obama? But the point is this. McConnell has shut down any talk about witnesses, and he shut down any talk about removal, because there aren't going to be 67 senators. And if you look right here, 538, this is exactly why Trump is going to easily demolish Democrats. They have completely fabricated everything. Do Democrats have enough smoking gun evidence for impeachment? I have this article below in the description section. There is at present no single piece of evidence that conclusively links Trump to the Ukraine scandal, like the tape transcript of President Nixon ordering the Watergate cover-up. That particular piece of evidence was such a decisive smoking gun that its release forced Nixon's resignation within a matter of days. Democrats' case against Trump, on the other hand, doesn't have that one key piece of evidence directly linking Trump to a quid pro quo. So the question moving forward is whether Democrats have enough smoking gun to persuade voters that Trump committed impeachable offenses, or if the missing evidence will turn out to be a lifeline for Trump. Well, this is a beautifully written, amazing article by Amelia Thompson DeVoe in 538. So it's a really great article. It's a really great article. The only thing I would say about a lifeline would be for Democrats, not for Trump. They're the ones who fabricated everything based on their sensibilities. All of this is based on their sensibilities. Okay? It is absolutely not based on whether Trump committed some kind of impeachable offense. Okay. It is not based that he didn't. So that's why Mitch McConnell has already shut down any talk about that's why Mitch McConnell's already shut down any talk about impeachment witnesses. That's why he's speeding up opening arguments to make sure that Democrats don't have their public relations stunt that lasts forever. Okay? I mean, if Democrats could get Trump's proctologist's neighbor's hairdresser's accountant, they would do that. And they would go, oh my God, do you see what's going on? And then Bernie Sanders wouldn't be at Iowa. They would, if they could ensure that Bernie Sanders wasn't at Iowa. Why am I stuck here? It's New Hampshire. It's the New Hampshire primary. Why am I even in the Congress now? Oh my God, the Michigans. They're not cheating me, are they? Wait a second. At what point do I realize that I'm part of them cheating me? Ipso facto, I'm cheating myself. Anyway, check out H.A. Goodman's other channel regarding that. How do you do this? How do you disrespect a person that wrote a great article in The Guardian? How do you do that? Do you ever see Clinton saying, oh, that's not true, Tulsi Gabbard isn't a Russian operative? No, she's just like, yeah, she works for Russia. And then everyone's okay with it. It's the most absurd claim. She's going after a veteran also. You never see Democrats. When it was McCain, they're like, look what Trump is doing to McCain. But and then they did that to McCain worse in 2008. But when it's a veteran and Tulsi Gabbard, they don't care. They have no value system, and it's people like Bernie Sanders that he's getting walked on and steamrolled and completely pummeled and obliterated. His campaign is already done and obliterated. Now the question is, and I'm going to ask this on H.A. Goodman's other channel: is he a part of this? But anyway. Impeachment serves to make sure Bernie doesn't campaign in Iowa. Impeachment serves to expose Biden. Even Bernie, one of the top Bernie Sanders supporters in The Guardian, wrote that he's corrupt. Everyone knows Biden is corrupt. They could pretend Biden isn't corrupt. Everyone knows he's corrupt. The conflict of interest alone points to corruption. The conflict of interest alone points to corruption. The fact that he has no evidence to back up the claim that he fired one of the prosecutors because he was doing so on behalf of U.S. national security. Where's the evidence that he was? Where's the evidence? He said, well, go call the president. Well, President Obama never told him to do. Where's the evidence that President Obama told him to fire the prosecutor? Anyway, give me your thoughts below. Check out H.A. Goodman's other channel right now. If you want to support my voice long term, my Patreon is below. And this is going to be a monumental failure, even bigger than the Mueller probe for Democrats. And they have nothing. They never had anything. It's always, when you have MSNBC, CNN, and the Washington Post, the New York Times, all speaking in concert, and John Brennan, and Comey, and McCabe, all speaking in unison, it's a bunch of nonsense. And the Democrats are going to fail miserably. Because they're always wrong on everything. Hey, we're going to win Texas. No, you're not. Loss. The Mueller probe's going to get Trump. Loss. Oh, Stormy. Loss. Oh my God, taxes. Loss. And then impeachment, major loss. But they never say he's exonerated. When Clinton's investigated, not really. And there's no investigation, and then they, quote, find nothing from their investigation. They say, oh, she's so exonerated. When they find nothing with Trump, they say, well, you know what? He still invited Russia. Don't you? He invited them. But what? With that logic, Clinton more than invited Russia. She purchased the Steele dossier. Give me your thoughts below. Check out H.A. Goodman's other channel right now. I mean, Bernie Sanders... It's unbelievable. This impeachment is more about Bernie Sanders, definitely more about Biden than it is about Trump. Give me